Okay, Abusia, eba Ghana has here one of our lawyers or ye big and I say eba law Abusia HSA yin form ewo Ghana has a ye Thaddeus sorry ono or sound so Speaker of Parliament ne lawyer Abusia sa lawyer yi ede ensembi ababe tuja efa former Chief Justice ne application wa file to challenge her removal as a Supreme Court judge no abusuya lawyer na ba edin sembi ababetudwa afa ho a echese wa robeshe neoma former Chief Justice Torkornoo echese osanso blame former Chief Justice Torkornoo ne lawyers no say HSA advisor and case omodema former Chief Justice Torkornoo no enye sa advice no ena omodema no abusuya papa no edin sembi ababetu amome yenko na yenko nkotie ensema ekos unsubscribe ya subscribe like na sanso share ma afofron so ensa into me enkebi aha Ghana politics avenue so medabase.
It doesn't get to your head, but still, there was this recent case that you were on, and honestly, even though, you are my lawyer, but you don't like have conversations on updates of what you're doing and what you're not, except when I saw you write some article. I remember when this whole CJ issue started, and I think there was a radio show, morning show, some radio show was talking about it, and then you wrote some article to draw the attention of the radio show host to the fact that what had happened wasn't that new in our history or in our politics. So folks, for those of you who do know what I'm rambling about, I'm talking specifically about the CJ being asked to step aside and the petition and all. How did you be involved in the petition?
Okay, so the petitioner has been my client since the year 2008. So, and we've been in court on his matter since 2008.
He's not a lawyer?
He's not a lawyer at all. He's a well-known businessman. And because he's a businessman, he's been involved in a lot of cases in courts. So he pretty much understands court procedures, and he has his own expectations of what justice should look like or what the justice system should give to him. So we are in court until 2018 when the Supreme Court delivers a judgment in his favor. The issues are quite straightforward, not complicated. But since 2018, we've since been battling with the judgment of the Supreme Court, the final court of the land.
Did you say was the decision in his favor?
In his favor.
So what were you battling?
How to enjoy that very decision of the Supreme Court. Now, his opponent, and I don't want to go into the details, kept filing applications of a kind, of different kinds. And they were represented by arguably some of the greatest lawyers in this country. They didn't win those applications. Eventually, what they did was to come to the High Court to try and set aside the judgment of the Supreme Court, raising issues that the Supreme Court had pronounced on several times over. It was clearly an abuse. So this is a person who understands the process and he knows exactly what he is doing. So occasionally when I hear that, well, there was a promise to reset the judiciary and this is one of them, I don't understand it. Because if you know who is involved in this, he believes he's been a victim of that system and he's trying to fix it. By myself, I have had issues with the Chief Justice, personal issues of a kind that should not even happen in the lowest court of the land. And they were public. People saw it. People could read. And let us lawyers show respect to people who we say are not learned. A lot of them have been to court. They've watched proceedings. They know how proceedings take place. They expect a basic level of decorum between the bench and the bar. And the bar and the bench know that. it fell far. The standards that was exhibited on a number of occasions that I was before the Supreme Court in matters in which people have interests. There were some group of people who thought this was not right at all.
In terms of
the exchanges between us.
Yeah.
In fact, in one of the rulings of the courts, in which I raised an objection about the manner in which the Speaker of the Republic of Ghana was served, which was to be done in accordance with a protocol that was handed from the Chief Justice's office to the Speaker's office. I was overruled.
I'm sorry.
No, my lady, I've got it right.
You can hear me very well.
Yes, my lady.
You appreciate the pickle we are in.
Yes, my lady.
You filed an affidavit on the 15th of... Please hold on. Don't interrupt me. Please.
Oh, yes, my lady.
Always wait for me to land.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it.
Your substantive application, if affidavit before us, is dated the 2nd of April. Listen, let me land. If you had just waited to understand my words instead of rushing to justify yourself, you would have admitted that you didn't have a formal notice to object.
It's not, I didn't have a problem with overruling me. I get that every day as a lawyer of my age and experience at the bar. But even the contents of the ruling did not sit well with the very protocol you had handed to the Speaker. So some of those things left people like me wondering that, remember that I was called to the bar by Justice Aban. And so between Justice Aban and to the removed Chief Justice, I've seen a number of them and I have worked with a number of them. So, and I started practicing in the Supreme Court before that this removed Chief Justice became a justice of the High Court. So she is my senior and I respect her and everything. I respect a lot of senior lawyers, but you can't be speaking to me about practice in the courtrooms, about justice, and assume that you are talking to a naive person. So
that's what happened. That's what you felt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there was some disrespect.
Apart from disrespect, it was not just right. You could see an interested person getting into the arena of conflict. And that was not one of the grounds of the petition. But by myself, I thought she didn't handle her position right. Unfortunately for her, and maybe the stars turned in one particular direction, it's my client who was the petitioner. And again, way before this same client, that's how come I started to work with Chachu, the great Chachu Chikata actively. He told me one day that, look, if after a judgment of the Supreme Court, you've gone to court several times over in the Supreme Court, maybe I need to enhance my legal team. So he called Chachu Chikata and said, well, I want you to join my legal team. And I was intimidated. I said, well, if you are bringing in Chachu Chikata, please.
Let me step aside.
I'm out of here. So I go to meet up with my senior and tell him, look, I've been told you're coming to this matter. I'm handing over the brief to you. He said, what are you talking about?
You're not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. We are going to work on this together. So all of this was fortuitous. We didn't do anything according to any political agenda. This was our client way before you even became Chief Justice. And he genuinely has grievances. And that's how we came into it. I'm sorry, I'm literally taking over your show.
No, please do. It's my show, but I'm going to listen to you.
Yeah.
So let me quickly find out.
Yes.
So what about what's in the petition? That's confidential, or that's...
The Chief Justice herself, or the removed Chief Justice, has herself gone out there and put out some of the allegations to the public.
Yeah.
In any event, I'm speaking now at a time when the proceedings are no longer in camera. They are over. They were discussed before, they were discussed during, they were discussed after. I'm not going to add anything and I won't change anything. In fact, if I'll answer any question, I'll make an assumption in her favor and we'll take it from there. So whatever you want to ask me about it, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously, you've had some kind of a tiff with her in terms of how she handled certain things, or handled you in the Supreme Court.
Sure.
Where's the legality?
Because the legality lies in the fact that the motion paper invokes the jurisdiction of the court. And if there is an irregularity on the face of the motion paper, which I am pointing out as the foundation to which I am not accepting what he has found.
No, hold on.
Yes.
Which motion paper?
His motion for injunction.
The man is not seeking. Hold on.
Yes.
Whenever I start, stop.
Oh. Once there's an objection taken to it, you cannot overreach that objection with a proposal to amend.
Hold on.
So that's all I'm drawing the court's attention to.
Stop there, Mr. Stop there.
Yes, madam.
Stop there.
Yeah, something like that happened.
Yes.
Can somebody watching say, oh, then maybe Tad had something personal against her to begin with? So
Not really. To be honest with you, even in the High Court, I had those parties with her, several of them. But right afterwards,
You move on.
as lawyers, we move on. But these were issues. I just drew your attention to it because of the fact that if anybody thought that I needed to be influenced or I needed to be motivated politically to do this, that doesn't even make sense. Because as a person, I had every reason not to be happy with her. And my client had reason not to be happy with her. So did we need the president to come and tell us that? And in fact, I'm sure that if the party in power wanted people to petition against the Chief Justice, they would have had them. I am told that even after the first 3 petitions were sent to the committee, several others followed. Several others followed. And
petitions followed.
Yes, and I will be interested in us getting to know what they were about. It will be important for us to know. So people are able to distinguish between what is political and what was really meant to also enhance an arm of government that is supposed to deliver for people what they expect, justice. You know.
Were you surprised that there was this political angle of the whole thing, as you said? Did that surprise you? Because even in the article that you wrote, you were sort of implying that, hey, this is the law. It's been on the books. Did that surprise you?
It didn't. What surprised me were the kind of people who were speaking. Because we all have our biases. And as I sit, I have my biases. But when things come out into the public, and if you serve the public in a particular capacity, lawyers have a duty to the public. You have to be discerning enough to know what to put out to the public as what the public should expect, or the standard they should expect of you as a professional, and what you are putting out there based on your personal proclivities. The two are different. So I found certain statements made by leaders and by lawyers I respect quite disturbing.
I'm very sad about it. It has really saddened me. And maybe in a way, I feel very distressed by it. Yes. The sadness is about the whole process. My sadness is because as far as I'm concerned, it was a very unnecessary. We have been taken through a very unnecessary situation, and which, as far as I'm concerned, and that is my honest and candid view, this has so weakened the institution of the judiciary. And are these and these are not so, to me, they lack the gravity. They lack the gravity that would lead to a grave outcome, such as the removal of the head of an institution of justice. I've deliberately phrased myself that way. It trivializes the position.
I didn't think they were being honest in the manner in which they approach it.
Could you give an example? Or
the clearest example is the manner in which the removed Chief Justice herself handled the petition. The law is very clear that these matters are supposed to be in camera. You should handle the proceedings right from the petition up until it is over.
In camera.
In camera. Now, on the base, right from the beginning, you write letters, copied so many people, had it circulated in the media. It had to take a rebuke from the president to remind you for the first time that I don't like the way you are handling this, because it's supposed to be handled in a particular way. That didn't deter her. We start the proceedings. You go out in public. You are telling the public about the proceedings and how generally you are not safe and you are not comfortable with the proceedings.
In order to address the troubling violations of the Constitution and illegality of the proceedings that have become obvious to me, that became obvious to me from the beginning of the process. I started an action in the Supreme Court. I applied for the proceedings of the committee set up by His Excellency the President to be held in public, so that in the interest of transparency and for the truth in the matters being raised to be made known to the people of Ghana. I did so because I knew that the secrecy of the proceedings for removing justices was not created in the Constitution as a cover-up for any agenda.
If I were your lawyer, I would advise you to boycott it, because you had no confidence in the proceedings anyway, because you believed that it was going to lead to a particular result. Then, during the course of telling people what you should not be telling them, nobody says, no, you've gone overboard. First, you start by this, your letter, which you circulated in the public, and the president drew your attention to it. Now the proceedings have started, and you are still talking. No lawyer up to date has said this Chief Justice had gone rogue, and definitely rogue. If she was not removed on the grounds of this, these were grounds to have removed her, because she was plainly acting contrary to the Constitution.
Before we continue,
yes.
Why do you think that no lawyer was bold enough to point this out? Why the silence?
It speaks to a particular culture. First, we have these alliances, and people are blinded by those alliances. And I'm saying that it still doesn't help those who align themselves in a particular way, because for a person who acts like that, you are thinking about an institution that should protect you and I. So regardless of how you align with the person, issues will definitely arise in which you will take positions that will affect you adversely. So first of all, it's based on our alliances, it's political. So this woman was appointed by a particular government. She's being removed by another government. So regardless of the merits, because we don't want the government which is acting to look credible, or to show that this person who was appointed by another government was not the right person, we just need to take a position.
What we know is that there's a sinister and diabolical plot firmly underway to tighten the president's grip on power and prolong his days in office. So they knew that the firmness of the Chief Justice will not allow this. So they started to unleash the attack dogs on the Chief Justice to try and clear out of the way so that they will have their way.
And some of those who were speaking were those that the public knew were direct beneficiaries of her indiscretion. Direct beneficiaries of her indiscretion. One of the grounds of the petition related to the manner in which she handled the minority leaders' case in courts.
That was in the petition.
That was in the petition. In fact, as we speak, it was in the petition of another party. That matter cannot be defended in any way. Because in that her ruling against the speaker, she lied against a protocol that you had established with the speaker, only because you wanted to reach a particular conclusion. If that was an accident, the events preceding the ruling showed clearly that it pointed to a particular thing, whether it was innocent or not unintentional, to the extent that ordinary people can read and understand that no, this cannot be right, because an application is filed at 12 o'clock. By 2, you get a full panel to hear an application, which by every rule in the book must not be granted beyond 10 days. Then you say it's granted until the final determination of the matter. And it's on a Friday. Parliament is on Tuesday. You could have told them that, look, you know what? Let the speaker be notified and he should show up here with his lawyer on Monday or Tuesday. And let's give them a short hearing and decide whether we should grant it or the extent to which we should grant it. There was no urgency about it in a way that justified the manner in which he intervened. No way. And to talk about the fact that even in the ruling, you could say, oh, my circular said this, but the speaker misunderstood it. It was disturbing insofar as I'm concerned. And so many other things. So nobody could tell her up to date that she herself had also not conducted herself in the right way. That is where I see that we are in trouble.
Yeah, we're in trouble. Where does the nation move from here? I mean, if we're able, and when we talk about the Ghana Bar Association, you're talking about lawyers, learned people who are supposed to be up and doing, you know. So when nothing scares me more than silence from the bar. So if this is has to say anything about the bar, they keep silent because of alliances. Where are we heading?
I wish I didn't have to speak about this, but the bar hasn't been silent. Only yesterday, the bar and the Attorney General literally crossed swords on the same point.
Okay.
Because the Attorney General said, look, we've had instances of such removals based on the same constitutional provision. At what point in time did the bar realize that that constitutional provision required clarity? Is it because a particular person was involved? And as for the argument that, oh, you know, we are dealing with the Chief Justice, not any ordinary person. It's a mentality that educated people should not even sow in the mind of anybody. Because we all are equal before the law. And if the Chief Justice occupies such an exalted position, deserving of respect, shouldn't she carry herself in a manner better than every other person? And let's talk about it. The Electoral Commission is a very important, it's the most important institution insofar as our democracy is concerned. That is the institution that crowns your president, who appoints the Chief Justice, without which you cannot be Chief Justice. So why are we diminishing that position? That constitutional provision was applied to a particular person. And we all kept quiet. The bar didn't know at that time that was Article 146. So the Attorney General says, oh, why have you been silent? If all of a sudden you are speaking about this in connection with the recent occurrence, you've woken up too late. You must first accept responsibility for waking up too late and give us an explanation as to why you are waking up at this time when you should have been waking up earlier.
Because it happened before.
It's happened several times before. In fact, the first person it was applied to was a man called Dr. Opong in the NCC. His grounds were that he didn't see eye to eye with his boss. The deputy, he was a deputy. He didn't see eye to eye with the head of the institution because the head of the institution had given an instruction and he disobeyed it. That was how he got removed. In fact, since then, we've had several Chief Justices. Georgina Wood eventually made rules to govern commissions of inquiry. If there was a lacuna, she became Chief Justice. The removed Chief Justice became Chief Justice, spent her time making unconstitutional rules of courts instead of focusing on Article 146, based on which she was removed. So we waited, others got removed based on the same article, and all of a sudden, you are being affected. rules have been crafted, let's follow those rules. And if the rules are suddenly opaque and they are not well applied, it is not too clear, and Ghana Bar Association speaks. Even yesterday they said the same thing. Still they didn't answer the point as to why they've been comatose from that time up to now. And I'm a member of the Ghana Bar, proud member of the Ghana Bar Association.
Why have you been comatose? Speaking now for the bar.
Well, I would accept responsibility for that, and I expect the bar to accept responsibility for being comatose. But I wasn't comatose. I'll tell you why. I was Charlotte Osei's lawyer. And throughout that process, I advised her as to what to do every step of the way. When her attention was drawn to the petition, she wrote several letters challenging the process, and they still railroaded the process until she was removed. Afterwards, Kweku Bako went to the Supreme Court and raised the same point about the absence of rules to regulate Article 146. Samson Ladi Ayenini was his lawyer. He went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, rubbished it. He said, this is not even a matter that should have come before the courts, and struck the case out. So, the matter that the Ghana Bar Association is talking about now was beaten way back, almost 10 years now.
Are they aware?
Yes, and in any event, we are lawyers.
Yeah.
Why are you not in court? Why are we on the platforms and talking? I've never genuinely believed in a matter that I sat by and slept over. Justice Akuffo, who's speaking publicly, is, if you're talking about my practice, who is my mother in the practice? She's the one. I acknowledge her everywhere, and even when she came to testify for the removed Chief Justice, I walked up to her and greeted her and told everybody that this is my mother in practice. I have sued her when she was Chief Justice before because she took a decision I didn't agree with. So if the bar feels genuinely, feels strongly about a position, take it to court. Let the court record that, look, we don't agree with this matter. In fact, I expected the bar to even take up the CJ's case. They should come in as her lawyers. She's filed several cases. People have filed several cases, been bold enough to fight for the woman in court. Why are we doing PR in the public? Those are the issues that kind of embarrass me as a member of the bar. I still hope that going forward, we would have learned from all of this. And when governments are taking steps that the bar feels strongly about, let's go out and represent people who think the executive branch of government is using its power in a way to oppress. That's what we should do as lawyers. That's what I think.
Do you think the article as it stands now can give provision for any executive head to manipulate?
I honestly don't believe in changing rules. One of the highest qualities of a constitution is that it should not easily be changed. And that's the reason why you find the American Constitution living for so many years, being there for so many years. You can count on the people that the Constitution entrusts power to be able to protect it and to interpret it to reflect the evolution that the framers of the Constitution intend to happen when circumstances change. And so Article 146, argue it as you want. This is a provision that required the president to consult the Council of State. That Council of State is composed of several distinguished persons, not only a former Chief Justice. There was another former Justice of the Supreme Court. There was a former Speaker of several years standing at the bar, reputable lawyer. There was another reputable lawyer, several of them, in fact, two of them, Betimol Idiso, a former Attorney General. They said that the president should consult those people. The president consulted them. So just tell me that those people were malleable and that we shouldn't have placed any confidence in them. If that is so, you can craft the rule the way you like. But if you are still going to have malleable people there is no point in deceiving yourself that changing the rule will make a difference. Then afterwards, they advise him. They set up a committee made up of 2 Supreme Court justices, one of whom was appointed by the former administration. In addition to that, several cases were filed in the courts. They were all thrown out. So how about those people in those institutions? If we don't have confidence in ourselves, changing the rules would not make any difference. Let's forget it. And I've never agreed with any idea of a constitutional reform to change anything in the constitution. There's nothing wrong with the constitution. We should look in ourselves and accept responsibility. Several times, chief justices, there have been attempts to remove chief justices. It went to the courts, and that's why it ended. Because the courts took the position that, look, even the procedure and the standards and all of that were not met. On this particular occasion, the courts took that position. So they too were wrong. Council of State wrong. And all of this boils down to a president having said before that he will reset the judiciary. Did he have conference with these people too? Could he anticipate court actions? Did he know Daniel Ofori? Did he know that you will travel and take per diem contrary to Article 71? How did the president trap you on all of that? So let's do honest politics.
Yeah. I like how you put it. Let's do honest politics. Because the politics has taken a different tone altogether. It's partisan and not exactly honest. It's whether to suit a particular ideology of a party, unfortunately. And that's what has actually, how do I put it, engulfed this situation. So nobody can think right and be objective about it.
I want to ask you, you see, I'm a member of the Ghana Bar Association. On so many occasions, this banter we've had in the courtroom and all of that, which ordinary people didn't think was right. Did the Ghana Bar itself ever call me and say, no, what took place? We expect next time that things like that shouldn't occur. We are giving a bad impression to the public. I'm a member. You could have, if I was wrong, I was willing to go and sit by a senior lawyer who will say, no, next time you are being engaged in that manner, that we shouldn't do this. But I also expect that if the Chief Justice did something wrong, we could have hashed it behind. After all, I'll appear before her again. I'll appear before her colleagues again. And I've had banters like that. So you expect an institution which is supposed to protect or work to a particular end to at least be seen to be doing that. And like I'm saying, I'm not casting the blame only on them. I'm also a member. And maybe sometimes if I got proactive, maybe I should have written a letter to them saying, did you watch what happened? And are you sitting as a representative of an association that's supposed to protect me quietly and watching what took place without saying something? Maybe I should have done that. But having said that, the point you make is right. We just acquiesce and we get along. And that shouldn't be it.
Yeah. And that should be it.
Okay, I was going to answer my so our political highway. So a former Chief Justice Torkornoo and Thaddeus sorry about schooling with legal wisdom. I was going to answer my course. But I'm at some much penny, Coco Tisa, and some way at my Ghana Politics Avenue. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so never any updates be because we are also answer a bit to me akabi. Naminsha Obibia Oguso ene ye jumane afofra omonso eba ababekaya. Madam Ase.